P.O.L. Game Review.
Yo, what up everybody? It's IntraVenus back with another episode from P.O.L. Game Review and P.O.L. Music. This is part 2 of the PS2 fighting games episodes that I'm working on here. If you didn't catch the last episode, I suggest you check it out. I'll put it somewhere around here on a card. And we're going to be playing every single PlayStation 2 game. Every single fighting PlayStation 2 game, to be more clear, that I can get my hands on. And I say I have around 30, maybe a little more so far. Last episode we did 5. This one I'm going to include 7, but that's because I'm gonna only talk about a couple of them really quickly. So without any further ado, we're gonna get into part 2, including Backyard Wrestling 2, Backyard Wrestling, Galactic Wrestling, War of the Monsters, Tekken Tag Tournament, Virtua Fighter Evolution, Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution, and the King of Fighters 2006. So stick around, cause here we go. Alright. I want to start with the games that are sort of like wrestling games. Well, they are wrestling games, but I want to include War of the Monsters in there. So first off, War of the Monsters is a Sony computer entertainment game, and it's highly recommended. I think there's a sequel. Maybe that one's more highly recommended, but people told me this game was really fun, and I just can't get into it. Now, honestly, I'd played it once in the past. I thought I liked it a little bit, but maybe not. It's like a 3D version of the old ones on Super Nintendo. They were called something similar to War of the Monsters. I don't know. I'll find a picture of it and I'll put it up around here. War of the Monsters, it's a 3D game where you're fighting over a city and you choose your generic versions of giant monsters. There's sort of like a King Kong. Well, there very much is a King Kong, not called King Kong. There sort of is a Godzilla. There's insect, robot, all that stuff. It just wasn't fun for me. And all these games I'm going to be basically giving you the first impressions of, unless something that I played more of. Because there's so many fighting games, I got a lot to talk about. But anyways, let's get into the back here. Stare in disbelief, scream in horror, run for your life. 100-foot-tall monsters have stormed the world, causing panic and despair. Engaged in a savage battle, these raging behemoths won't let anything stand in their way. Which one will win this war of the monsters? 10 massively destructive monsters, 13 fully destructible environments, run through cities, scale skyscrapers, and jump from rooftop to rooftop, go anywhere and everywhere. Unlimited weapons, scour the battlefield for cars, steel girders, and building rubble to pummel your opponents. Advanced fighting system, use weapons, shoot projectiles, and block and counter attacks. 2-player split screen merges into 1 for full screen brawling. Unlock bonus monsters, levels, and minigames. This is 1 to 2 players, as all these games are multiplayer. The wrestling games tend to be 4-player. We'll get into those, but this one's just 2-player. The reason I'm keeping this with the wrestling games is because it's kind of a little more like a wrestling game, arena brawler, instead of like a fighting game. There's a lot to look at that looks like it should be a lot of fun. Maybe I should get back into it. You guys let me know down below if you like War of the Monsters. Next up we have Galactic Wrestling, featuring Ultimate Muscle, the Kinnikuman Legacy from Bandai. Yeah, Ultimate Muscle is a popular toy from back in the day. I think it might have been more popular in Japan. But this was pretty hard, and I'm going to let you know right off the bat, I'm not very good at most wrestling games. They're not my favorite types of fighting games, but I'll give them all a shot and tell you my first impressions of what I think as someone who maybe has never played the game before, just coming in first impressions. Oh, let's check out the back. Galactic Smack Attack, faster than Def Jam Vendetta. from GameSpy.com. That's true, it is faster, which is one of the reasons why I like this probably the most out of all the wrestling games, at least in this episode. Def Jam Vendetta is a good game too. We haven't had this much fun with the brand new game for quite some time, from IGN PS2. Slam your foes with outrageous super galactic moves. Pile on the mayhem, up to 4 players at a time, more than 45 wrestlers to choose from. KO the competition to unlock hidden wrestlers. 6 muscle-busting game modes including tag team and battle royale. Catch it now on TV on the Fox Box from Bandai and Toei Animation. It does support the multi-tap for 4 players. This one was pretty cool. Maybe for some you're more intuitively inclined to just know the buttons of all these wrestling games, but it takes me a little bit. I did have fun with it. I do recommend this game, and I want to say it's going up in price. A little hard to find, at least. Maybe not expensive, but probably uncommon to say the least. Galactic Wrestling. Alright, these two we're going to talk about at the same time. Well, first of all, they're terrible. I'm sorry if you like these games. I was surprised because they're both from Eidos, but we have Backyard Wrestling 1 and 2. First of all, we're not going to touch on Backyard Wrestling 1 much at all, because either it's just because the PS3 doesn't like it, because I played all these on the PS3, the backwards compatible, or it's just terrible frame rate. The frame rate was so bad I couldn't even play it. I turned it off real quick, as you'll probably see in the footage for that. Backyard Wrestling 2, There Goes the Neighborhood. Very much a better game, but still wasn't very fun to me. It was kind of like Def Jam Vendetta in a sense. It's more wrestling. It's not that great. The best thing about these games are the soundtracks, honestly. But let's go ahead and read the back of each one. So the first one, Backyard Wrestling, don't try this at home. Over 30 hardcore wrestlers. Create a wrestler puts you in the game. Dozens of weapons at your disposal. Annihilate your opponents. Over 40 songs from Andrew WK, Sum 41, Insane Clown Posse, Rancid, Bowling for Soup, Spine Shank, and more. Yes, like I said, the soundtracks is the best parts of these games. Interactive, indestructible environments. It's Jackass meets the squared circle in America's backyard. From official PlayStation magazine. Maybe I need to go play this on a regular PS2 and see if it plays better. But this is from Paradox Development and Eidos. Backyard Wrestling 2 goes as follows, and you got whoever that guy is. I'm sorry, I should know who that is. There's a couple of rappers on the front here. Backyard Wrestling 2, There Goes the Neighborhood, also from Eidos and Paradox Development, though it was powered by Havoc and G4 Tech TV. Fight in offices, restaurants, mini golf courses, and of course, backyards. Interactive, indestructible environments. Clear off the table because BYW2 will be busting through it. That's Backyard Wrestling 2. Dozens of weapons at your disposal. Wrestle as New Jack, ICP, Tara Patrick, Vampiro, Andrew WK, and more. Create your own backyard brawler and get in the game. New wrestling system, grapples, blocks, and more moves. Killer soundtrack features 57 songs from Andrew WK, Bad Brains, Dizzy Rascal, Hazen Street, Hoobastank, Insane Clown Posse, Cool Keith, KRS-One, Mudvayne, Saliva, TSOL, and many more. Again, best part is the soundtrack. If you're going to play one of these, definitely go for 2. In my personal opinion, neither were that great. So now let's go ahead and get into... let's talk about Tekken Tag Tournament real quick. This one, I know I've played it before, and it's a great game, but it also would not run properly on my PS3. Maybe some games just don't run that well on the PS3, I'm not quite sure. I've never had this problem before. But yeah, Tekken Tag Tournament, I have 2 copies. One is the regular one, one's the greatest hits. Neither of them worked. Very odd, but I know this is a good game. So what I'm going to be doing is continuing henceforth. I'm going to be playing on an actual PS2 instead of my backwards compatible PS3. That is also, and mainly because my PS3 finally died a couple days ago. Yes, rest in peace. More on that in another video though. Tekken Tag Tournament, we will be touching on this in another episode. Put that aside. And I'm going to save that one for last. Let's talk about Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution. Virtua Fighter 4 and Evolution, they're basically the same game. This one, I'll read the back, but it's got better graphics and stuff supposedly. So I went ahead and grabbed this one from the store, and this one was $5 more. I was like, yeah, why not? Unfortunately, it is greatest hits. I'm always kind of bummed when I don't have that black label. This is a really good game. The Virtua Fighter games are all solid. If I were to choose a game in this fighting style, I would go for either the next game that I'm about to talk about, or Dead or Alive 2, or Soul Calibur 3. If we're talking about the PS2. But let's go ahead and get into this. You'll see some gameplay as I am reading the back. A new challenger comes. Do you have what it takes to be the champion? Go toe-to-toe with some of the greatest Virtua Fighter gamers in the world. The entire city stands before you in your quest to become the #1 Virtua Fighter and emerge victorious. 15 selectable characters, all with new moves, including 2 new original characters, improved graphics, high polygon character models, exquisite details, and reworked stages. Over 1,500 accessory items. Customize the characters to alter clothing, hairstyles, and more. Battle against opponents modeled after real-life Virtua Fighter arcade champions. That's cool. Also 2 players, as you may have figured. This is, according to official PlayStation Magazine, a sequel to the best fighting game ever made. My first Virtua Fighter experience was on the Sega Saturn. Obviously it wasn't 4, but highly recommend this. Though, for this episode, I'm going to be picking only one game that I highly recommend above all, and that will be this one. We're coming back to SNK Playmore with the King of Fighters 2006. This is an interesting King of Fighters game in that it's 3D. Now, if you know about King of Fighters, it's usually always like a 2D side scroller, but this is a little different. King of Fighters 2006, I actually had never played this. I went to Game Force in Boulder, Colorado. Shout out to them, and it was suggested to me. The invitations to the world's mightiest fighters have gone out. The King of Fighters tournament is set to begin. Sounds like Super Smash Bros. 38 incredible SNK characters, including 4 new fighters. All new Counter-Strike move. Party mode and mini games featuring Destroy the Tank, Kula Diamond, and Billy Kane for the first time in 3D. English and Japanese voice options. No die-hard fighting fans should miss it. From GameZone.com. This is another 2-player fighting game, and of all of these, by far the one I had the most fun with, and I will be going back and playing some more. This is the King of Fighters 2006. And my recommendation of the 7 games that were mentioned here, though Tekken Tag Tournament will come back to battle, to challenge in a future episode. So thanks so much for tuning in to part 2 of the PlayStation 2 fighting games series that I've begun. And I'm going to be continuing this until I've played through every single fighting game that I can get my hands on for the PlayStation 2. Also, don't forget that I do other things on PlayStation 2, including gems in general. I started another new series called The First 40 Minutes, and I'm posting the first 40 minutes of uninterrupted gameplay of some of my favorite PlayStation 2 games. Most recent would be, we did 13, and then I've got Warhammer 40,000 Fire Warrior, which I don't ever hear anybody talk about that. Anywho, don't forget about the Spawn stuff as well, and thank you for tuning in, thank you for sticking around, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I can't wait to do this again, so peace!